The first thing you want to do is look at your paper stock when mixing your ink color and figure out if your stock ink color is too light or too dark, if it needs to be adjusted. If you need to mix a custom color, I like to get these clear deli mixing containers. They also have lids, so you can put a lid on top to store it. I'll pour my ink inside of here to begin with for my print job. The next thing I want to do is take my black ink and add a little bit to that teal blue. So I'll mix a little in here and then take some of the black and add that into, I'm just going to mix that in. And as far as the viscosity of the ink, you don't want it too thinned out. Usually straight out of the container is pretty good. So I'm going to mix all that in and darken my color to get my custom darker teal blue for my base color. So this is looking like a good viscosity of ink as it comes off of the spatula. So if you would like one of your colors to be less opaque and solid and more transparent, I'll take some of my Speedball transparent extender base and I'll add that into my ink. So I have my white ink right here. I'm going to take my spatula. This will not change the ink color. As far as the ratio, I would say about 30% of the extender base. Add that into your color to about 70% of the white or the regular ink. So I'll add in maybe 2 or 3 scoops of that extender base in here. And after you do your first pull of ink, if it's too transparent or if you want it to be more transparent, you can always add more to it. So I'm going to add a little bit of that in. And then once I have that in, I can go ahead and mix it together. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my extender and mix that in. So mix all that in so I have a good transparent base. And as I mentioned, this won't change the color of your ink. It's doing 2 things. One, it's going to thin out the ink so that it's more transparent. It's also an extender. So what that means is that if it's really hot out, it will take longer for the ink to dry in your screen. So if you're having problems with your ink drying in your screen, adding a little bit of this transparent extender base is also helpful. Once I have all this mixed in and I'm good to go, what I like to do is I like to label. So water-based ink, white plus transparent extender. So it's just a good way in there so that later on if you go to grab this white that it's transparent and it's not opaque and you won't mess up any other prints. If you have artwork that's going to be bleeding off the page, what I like to do is create a jig. And this is just a really basic jig. Out of cardboard, I measured the size of our cards, so 5 inches wide by 7 inches high. So flat, this would be 10 inches by 7. I put the little fold mark on there for my template and I can see where the front and back is. And what I'm going to do on one sheet of paper is just measure out and trace this template so I have an idea when I register my artwork where everything is going to be placed and create my bleed. So I'm going to take my jig here and I'm just going to trace this, get it straight on here, and then I'll trace around the edge. So this is my fold right here and this is my fold right here. And now I have an idea on here with my pencil lines I now know where the artwork needs to fall. And you only need to do this on one sheet just to set up. All the other ones, once you get it set up, you won't have to do this. My recommendation when you're taking your vinyl cut stencil and you're placing it onto the screen, if you have a few shapes and you're doing multicolor, my recommendation is to put one piece on at a time. Reason being is that after you print and wash the ink out with the water, it will peel the sticker off and you'll have problems with your next print. So doing one at a time is the best way to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to place it on the side and just place this one and center it onto the screen. So I'm going to take on the back here, I already started to peel it off, and I'm going to peel off the back of my sticker. And then on the back of the screen, I'm going to take my artwork and I'm going to center it here. If you have one of these vinyl squeegees, you can take that or just a ruler. I like to start in the center and move out in one direction and then go the opposite direction. What this does is it pushes the air and you won't get any bubbles. So I'm going to adhere this to the screen. Then I'm going to take my transfer tape. I go from one corner and then on an angle, I peel off the transfer tape. Make sure that all my corners and I have no bubbles on there. Everything looks good. So now I'm ready to go and do my printing. Now that I have my stencil adhered to the screen, what I want to do, the areas where I have open mesh on the side and on the top, I want to take either my masking tape or if you have some of this clear packing tape. And what I want to do is I want to put strips of that tape in the area where I don't want ink to go. So in essence, you're just masking out certain areas of the screen. So you don't have to do the whole screen, just maybe an inch or two around the area where you're printing. So I'm just gonna take some of my tape, measure out. I also like to put a little tab there so it's easier for me to peel up later. And I'll put one piece right along here. I'll do the opposite side. So I have, and then I'll do the top and the bottom area. So I'll place some here, fold that over, and then place that in that top zone. So now that I have everything taped out, ready to go out and print.